Good morning. I think the last time I was up here was during my wedding, which was a long time ago. Welcome to First Parish Brewster Unitarian Universalist Church. Thank you for wrestling yourselves from your warm beds this morning and joining us here in this special space. I am Judy Fenner, here with Elenita Muniz and our wonderful music director, Kaisa Fern, to worship together with all of you and with everyone joining us from home. One note, we welcome children to remain with us for the service, and we are offering childcare downstairs in the nursery. Ooh, we have someone. But there will be no regular children's programming today. Masks are optional in worship, and we have set aside the southwest corner of the meeting house down there where they're waving, for those who want to wear masks. We hope all will wear a name tag so we can greet each other by name. For those of you who may be visiting us for the first time, a special welcome to the lands of Wampanoag, the people of the first light. Our meeting house sits on the homelands of the Setauket Band, and we acknowledge and share our sometimes unhappy history. Whoever you are in your path, may you be in this place of rest and restoration on your journey. Welcome on this morning, which we make sacred by our presence together. This is a fun part. Wow. Take it away,
Let us rise in body or spirit and join together in singing our opening hymn from the Gray Hymnal 128, For All That Is Our Life.
Be seated, please. This morning, Unitarian churches all over the world are lighting their chalices. Right now, at this very moment, the 6 UU congregations on the Cape may be lighting their own chalices. Let's mark them on our handy maps of Cape Cod. Would you all please get out your map of Cape Cod? Thank you. And the 6, do you know the 6? Provincetown, Eastham, Chatham, Barnstable, Falmouth, and Brewster. We light our chalice today in love and affinity with our other Cape UU meetings. We do have a few children here today, but I invite all who feel young at heart to join in our affirmation and read the Roman font. If you're feeling more grown up, the italics are for you. Please rise and join us in our affirmation. We believe in love. We believe in truth. We believe in helping others. We believe in the sacredness of life. Thank you. I love churches, the buildings themselves. One of my earliest memories is walking with my mother and my two younger brothers to the small Episcopal church we attended in Clinton, New York. As a member of the Altar Guild, my mother's job was to vacuum the rugs, put out new candles, get out the host, and so on. It was a Saturday afternoon. I loved the expedition and the adventure, going into the empty church when it wasn't the right time to be there, with the light through the stained glass windows, so different than what it was on a Sunday morning. I loved the quiet and being in a special place and the smell of beeswax candles. Perhaps this is where my fondness for exploring churches began. Remember the days when churches were never locked and you could go in day or night anytime? I took great delight in investigating churches, any denomination, entering quietly, sitting for a few minutes to absorb the feeling of the building, smelling the aromas of candles, maybe incense, old hymnals, and sometimes musty pew cushions. Listening to the sounds, the music of an empty sanctuary as the silence echoed around me. Then I would explore, examine each stained glass window and pick out where I could the characters or symbols there were on them. I'd go around Stations of the Cross if they were there, go up into the chancel and behind the altar and into the vesting rooms and the choir lofts. Never to take anything, just to see what there was, to see what that denomination chose as their elements of worship. Sometimes I'd look through the hymnal for familiar hymns with different words, or sometimes familiar tunes with a whole new words. And often I would sit again and just let the peace of the place sink in. How many of you have come into this space when it wasn't the right time for church? This New England meeting house took some getting used to for me. It felt stark and plain at first. I missed the stained glass light and the embroidered altar cloth and the gold stars on the indigo ceiling of my church in Hartford. So it took a while for me to appreciate the simplicity and the beauty of this room, to understand the peace that it holds. And now I love coming in here when it's not church. It seems to me that one of the main reasons we come here of a Sunday morning is that seeking after peace. Whether it's an hour's respite from our loving children, or a break from the beeping of our phones, or a chance to simply sit and listen, we come here looking for a few minutes of tranquility. As Thich Nhat Hanh says, don't just do something, sit there. And here we can do that. Thank you for coming this morning, for dressing yourselves against the chill and parking yourselves in these austere pews. Let us be peaceful together in this sacred place. Blessed be. I think that's Baylor. I think he's escaped from Nancy's car again. He's very determined. It is our custom to split the collection each Sunday between the work of the church and the work of another group with similar aspirations. He should just come in. Why don't we just let him come in and sit with us? This morning's collection will be shared with the Family Table Collaborative in Yarmouth. Under the auspices of Chef Jenny Wheeler, the collaborative produces and delivers nutritious, free meals to anyone who's struggling with food insecurity. Some of us knew Jenny when she was the chef at the Faith Family Kitchen, where we've been helping to serve meals for over 10 years. I encourage you to visit the website of the Family Table Collaborative and learn more about their broader goals. They have a large education component as well. Jenny Wheeler is a creative and dedicated leader and a darn good chef, too. If you get a chance to eat there, don't miss it. The order of service lists the several ways you can contribute to this morning's offering, which will now be gratefully accepted.
I know you're fed up, but life don't let up for us. All they talk about is what's going down, what's been messed up for us. When I look around, I see blue skies, I see butterflies for us. Listen to the sound and lose it in sweet music and dance with me, 'cause there is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world, always beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Shake your booty, boys and girls, for the beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl, 'cause there's beauty in the world.
Please join me in a time of meditation, followed by a moment of silent reflection. This morning, our words come from Marilyn the Riviere, who directs the Youth Street Reach program of the Cape Cod Council of Churches. Street Reach offers a monthly breakfast and much more to the unhoused people in the Hyannis area. Let us draw inwards to let Marilyn's message from last week enter our hearts. She wrote, "Yesterday was as full as I had anticipated, but in a good way. Our breakfast for the unsheltered was full of very special moments. We often have donations of luggage, which can be very helpful to someone who is living at a shelter and needs to take everything they own with them. This time, we had a very large green suitcase donated. I saw one of our volunteers bringing it over to a woman who had her foot in a boot and really needed that suitcase. I went over to talk to her. She said she almost cried when she took it and could not be grateful enough. Then she asked if there was a piano, and when she finished her breakfast, she proceeded to play. Her song was beautiful, and it struck me that we were so lucky to be able to make a difference in someone's life. She was then able to share her gift of music with everyone." Another guest spoke to me and said that she wished there was a way that she could let the youth know how much it meant to her to be able to attend this breakfast. She said she always liked to talk to Kaylee, who helped her find whatever she was looking for, whether it was a scarf or a coat or just some socks. There are so many friendships like that happening all around, and it is good to just stop and take a breath and enjoy the beauty of community. I also looked at our resident barber, Frankie, who shows up before 7 a.m. and proceeds to give free haircuts to anyone who wants one. When you talk about transformative experiences, haircuts and shaves are right up at the top. But you can also see a transformation in the smiles that our guests have once they have settled in to eat and shop and talk. At the end of the day, when we had our closing circle, everyone had some great things to share. The group from Corpus Christi Parish had come with their pastor, who arrived at 6:15 a.m. and stayed to the end. In the circle, he shared that he basically did nothing for 4 hours. He meant, of course, that he wasn't involved in cooking or sorting clothing, but was totally engaged in observing, talking, sharing, and being present. That is the gift of presence that is vital to all of us. My friend Janet, who had come to the breakfast, said she's been homeless on many occasions and is doing well now. She stayed for our closing circle and told the youth how special they were and how much it meant to her and others that they gave up their Friday night and Saturday to be with people who needed them. Today, I just continue to process what I experienced. I can't lift heavy bags anymore, and it's hard for me to stand up in the kitchen for long periods of time. But I know that I am called to just be. That is all I need to do to enjoy life fully. Our reading this morning is from Mary Oliver. Shocking, I know. The place I want to get back to is where, in the pine woods, in the moments between the darkness and first light, 2 deer came walking down the hill. And when they saw me, they said to each other, "Okay, this one is okay. Let's see who she is and why she's sitting on the ground like that, so quiet, as if asleep or in a dream, but anyway, harmless." And so they came on their slender legs and gazed upon me, not unlike the way I go out to the dunes and look and look and look into the faces of the flowers. And then one of them leaned forward and nuzzled my hand. And what can my life bring to me that could exceed that brief moment? For 20 years, I have gone every day to the same woods, not waiting exactly, just lingering. Such gifts bestowed can't be repeated. If you want to talk about this, come to visit. I live in the house near the corner, which I have named Gratitude. Some of you know that Judy and I belong to the Hyannis Yacht Club. Excuse me, I have to have this or we're going to have coughing through this whole thing, which won't be fun. Judy grew up there, sailing on Lewis Bay, which lies just outside the Hyannis Inner Harbor. Like many such clubs, the Hyannis Yacht Club is run on naval standards. Every morning, the American flag is run up the flagpole halfway down the dock, along with the club burgee and the appropriate signal or officer flags. It's a big flagpole with a yardarm and a sprit. The burgee flies at the top of the flagpole. The signal flags and the officer flags fly from halyards that run up to the yardarm, and the American flag flies from the sprit. The club in its season is full of energy and people. 200 kids taking sailing and swimming lessons, sailboat races 3 times a week, lots of folks enjoying the beach or lunch on the patio or the weekend parties. There's a restaurant upstairs looking out over the waters of the bay and all the activities of the club. It's a very busy place, and often the sounds of revelry carry out across the bay. At sunset, in the midst of all that sound and flurry, a bell rings twice, and a voice calls, "Attention on deck for colors," and everything stops. Suddenly, there is silence as we all stand and face the flagpole. In the silence, we can hear the diners upstairs pushing back their chairs to stand as well. We watch as the steward lowers the officers' flags, then the club burgee, then fires a cannon and lowers the American flag. At this point, the Commodore, or the oldest past Commodore present, there's some competition for this, declares, "As you were." And the music, conversation, dining, dancing, games on the beach all resume. Faintly through the windows, we can hear the upstairs guests singing "America the Beautiful" or "God Bless America." Everything gets back to normal. But between the attention on deck and the "as you were," there have been a few minutes of absolute stillness and quiet. We face east, the sun setting behind the club. So what we see while the flags are lowered is the miracle of a Cape Cod sunset, which, as you know, happens not just in the West, but is a 360-degree event. And yes, we are attending to the lowering of the flags. But at the same time, we can't help but be awed by the extraordinary gift of standing in that place. And when conversations resume, so often the first words out of anyone's mouth are, "We are so lucky. How did we get to be so blessed to have this space and this time together?" We have been called to gratitude, called by our shared love of the sea and sailing, called by the gorgeous sunsets, called by the peace and quiet of that moment, reminded that we have, as so many great teachers put it, everything we need and more. Maybe you're thinking, well, yeah, yachts and dining and dancing, you should feel grateful. What always strikes me about this moment, however, is that it isn't just the crunchy munchies who comment on this. Rather, it humbles us all, wealthy and working class, as we are reminded by the goddess just how beautiful Cape Cod is and how lucky we are to live here, whether year-round or for the summer season. So why am I telling you all this? Because we all have these moments, don't we? Moments when beauty or love or music or our grandchild's face calls us to gratitude in the same way that colors calls the club members. When the goddess jerks our leash and says, "Yo, pay attention. Look around you. Really look and see the blessings that surround your beauty." Mary Oliver describes one in her beautiful poem. Can you imagine that scene? Can you picture yourself lying on the ground as a deer walk up to you and nuzzle your hand? The idea makes me want to cry. It's like that moment on a whale watch. How many of you have been on a whale watch? So you know the moment when the boat suddenly lists to starboard because everyone has run to one side to see the whales bubble feeding. This moment of silence before their great homely snouts burst out of the water, and then cries of, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," which is the actual soundtrack of a video a friend sent us this summer. Such a gift. And we know it, don't we? We know we have witnessed something sacred and beautiful and connecting. We feel our oneness with those whales and with nature, and we are amazed and humbled and terrified that we will lose them. And we understand in our very souls that interbeing that our seventh principle expresses, the interdependent web of all life of which we are a part. And certainly, we are gobsmacked by gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our souls murmur silently. But it doesn't take a great big thing like a pod of whales to call us to attention, does it? Sometimes it's something impossibly small and tender. I remember the first time I felt in my gut the fragility of life. I was holding our older daughter's hand. She was maybe 1, thereabouts. And looking at her perfect tiny hand, I was suddenly overwhelmed with just how fragile life is and how vulnerable. She was old enough that I could appreciate her as a human being. And it knocked me over, understanding all through my body just how easily I could lose her and what a huge gift her life was to me. The gut-wrenching impact only lasted for a moment, but the long-term imprint has lasted all my life. Our conscious presence in the world is an amazing thing, isn't it? And we have to be grateful. To whom, I don't know. But the miracle of our existence and that of all people is so wonderful. How could we not say thank you? I don't mean to be a Pollyanna and say that everything in the world is wonderful. Clearly, the daily news informs us that many things in the world are not wonderful at all. And anything like that can become an onerous burden to us. That's why gratitude is so important, allowing ourselves to notice and to heed the call to say thank you once in a while. Our younger daughter, when she heard the topic of this homily, shared with me something her therapist had told her. It is physically impossible to be anxious and stressed out and grateful at the same time. When you think about the things for which you're grateful, she told me, the brain chemicals generated by that gratitude overwhelm the chemicals in your brain that cause anxiety and stress. Well, right there, that's something to be grateful for, isn't it? So many teachers of mindfulness and meditation and 12-step groups remind us that focusing on the things for which we are grateful can help us turn away from worry and anxiety and help reduce our stress. This past spring, we had a service that focused on the things that get in the way of our seeing beauty and wonder around us. We were asked to write down those things: worry, ill health, anger, jealousy, substance use, whatever, and then burn the papers that listed them. Do you remember that service? What I remember thinking is that the premise itself seemed flawed to me, because I see beauty everywhere around me, and I don't think I'm the only one who does so. Of course, there are moments when I'm distracted or wound up in my own feelings, and so I miss some of those beautiful moments. But that's not the same thing as being unable to see beauty and wonder. I believe we all can have these moments. Sometimes we may not have the confidence that our noticing matters. We may think, really, why are you so excited about a bunch of bumblebees snuggled up in a goldenrod blossom? And my response would be, because we're supposed to be excited about that. Healthy pollinators, lots of food, beautiful colors, and they're adorable. Of course we should notice and be excited. For instance, what about gardens? Many of you are gardeners, I know. I'm kind of a brown thumb myself, but I love flowers, especially peonies. I am totally sucked into their voluptuous, sensuous, profligate blossoms. I love them on the plant. I love them on the dining room table, where I let them stay silently dropping petals until they are just too sad to tolerate any longer. How could we not be grateful for these splendid celebrations of glorious excess? Or how about animals? Some of our most intimate connections with beauty and wonder and infinity come from our relationships with animals. I remember the first time a trainer put a stallion's lead rope into my hand. For a kid who loved horses and who had waited until she was nearly 30 to get her degree in animal husbandry, that was an amazing gift. That trainer didn't know me. I was applying for a job, and yet he trusted me with that lead rope. This probably seems inane to some of you, but to me, it was a gift straight from the universe. All the way home from his farm, I was amazed at that moment, amazed and grateful. Nature, as Mary Oliver repeatedly reminds us, is such a rich source of beauty and amazement. We happen to live in the blessed 800 acres of the Punkhorn Parklands, one of Brewster's conservation gems. And walking there with our dog brings so many unexpected moments of grace. I have had half a dozen encounters with fishers, the biggest of the weasel family, who are notoriously shy and get a bad rap for being vicious. Well, they're weasels, so you can't expect much else. But looking up from a path in front of me to see a fisher watching me from a tree 15 feet away is definitely a holy cow moment. A naturalist I told about these encounters said, "You are really lucky, and don't I know it? And am I not grateful?" Yes. But again, why does it matter that we give ourselves the grace to feel gratitude? So what? Because right now we are in that liminal space between challenging seasons. The calendar has just ordered us to be grateful, and the calendar now orders us to be jolly and bright. And that can be hard, very hard. So many expectations weigh us down, our own and others. It can generate a fair amount of anxiety and stress. But we can be in control of that by remembering the things for which we are grateful, as our daughter's therapist described. Gratitude trumps anxiety and stress. So many moments, scenes, encounters, people in our lives offer us a chance to pay attention, really pay attention, and to be grateful. Helping a turtle cross the street. Hearing the call of a hermit thrush from deep in the woods. That has to be what a fairy's singing sounds like. Having your very favorite comfort food delivered by a friend when you're sick at home. Waking up on Star Island to the sound of the foghorn and the swallows. The first time I hugged Judy, before we were even dating, but while we were working on a very emotionally challenging video project. I remember that I just kept breathing in and in and in and in at the wonder of holding her. Having our grandson climb into my lap and say, "Yes, you're old, Beta, but not too old." And then putting his hands on my cheeks, he said, "You're just squishy old." And one more, socks. Every morning, I bless the woman who invented socks. Instant warmth, it's a miracle. How could I not say thank you? All these things have called me, and still do, to gratitude. But I don't for a minute believe that I have a lock on reasons to be grateful. In fact, as I've been nattering on up here, I imagine that you have been sitting there thinking, "Oh, I had a moment like that." Or, "For me, it isn't peonies, but hydrangeas." Or maybe, "What about hawks?" We all hold memories of a moment, maybe many, where we have been startled by such wonder and amazement that all we can do is mutter, "Thank you, thank you." So just as we do in our flower communion, I would like us to share these moments with each other. Does everyone have a file card and something to write with? If you don't, could you raise your hand and we'll get you one? We need a few up in the balcony, I think. So I invite you to write on your card one thing or one moment or one adventure or one person that called you to wonder and delight and made you think, thank you. Can be a person, can be an incident, can be something. Doesn't matter. Whatever, something has called you to be grateful. It doesn't have to be a long description, just something enough so we will know what prompted your joy. All right? Any questions? Right. Is everyone finished? Okay. Now, I invite you to pass your card to another person. And now pass the card that you've received to somebody else. Just keep passing, passing, passing. The balcony is a little bit limited in how many passes they can make, but everybody else just keep passing, sure. Okay, now stop. You should not have your own card. Can we do this? We can't, we may not be good parkers, us Unitarians, but we can pass cards. This is our gratitude communion. I invite you to take the new card you have home with you and put it on your refrigerator, tuck it in the corner of a mirror, or stick it on the dashboard of your car, someplace where you will see it from time to time. And be reminded of the way in which a member of your community finds beauty and awe and is called to a moment of gratitude. We all have the capacity to recognize these moments, big and small, and to remember that gratitude triumphs over anxiety and stress. So let us give thanks, not just once a year, but every day. Thanks for the wonder and glory all around us, as I give thanks for you. Blessed be.
Thank you. Now we invite you to join with us in the closing song. We have the lyrics written on the back of the order of service, and please rise in body or spirit.
For me and
Please take each other's hands if you'd like to for the benediction. I invite you all to join us after the service in the parish room for coffee. With these precious moments, with this loving community, all is restored again. Blessed be.